Let's fight. A very good evening to each and every one of you guys. I know you just wait for that sound. Let's fight. Y'all like to pass away and to bacchanal and to get on bar, to cough and to butt and to bite, all manner of things. Guys, we're in the ring. It's Wednesday, and you guys know if it's Wednesday night, we're in the diaspora, and we have some folks from the diaspora with us. And guys, I hope that you're on your P's and Q's. You know, when we got foreign folks visiting, we got to behave ourselves, right? Clean up the house properly, put the dust under the mat if that is what is needed. Fetch up the water, make sure, the bathroom and toilet are spick and span, the kitchen, the wares put away and so on. You got to be on your best behavior. It's Wednesday night, folks, and we are in the diaspora this evening. We have some wonderful folks with us. We're going to be talking about a little bit about what's happening where they are, and then we're going to get to some of the issues we're going to be discussing back home here in Guyana. In particular, the Mangrove issue, adverse sales, Margaret too. But we got to find out what's happening where they are, because y'all fast. That's why y'all on Facebook. Those of you who are joining us on Twitter this evening, welcome in the ring. Facebook, welcome. YouTube, welcome. And just like how you guys want to know what's happening in the US and in the Caribbean, in the diaspora on the whole, and internationally, they want to know what's happening at home here this evening. And sometimes you guys know, the folks overseas know more about what is happening home here than we know, right? Sometimes people send me some stuff. I don't even know how they know that before we do here, right? They're more fast than we. Guys, good to see each and every one of you. I'm going to introduce my guests in just a little bit, but we usually wait for us to hit those magic numbers before we start before we start the program proper. And so we're gonna hold for you guys to share and so forth. And I'm gonna do a little bit about that as well. Happy Nurses Day. Happy International Nurses Day. Happy International Nurses Day. Well, I come from a family of healthcare professionals, lots of nurses, whether biologically related in my family or whether, adopted members of my family, but lots of nurses in my family. My mother's a nurse, my aunt, my uncle. I got relatives who are in the profession. Outside of those persons, my aunt Hazel Europe, was in the profession for 42 years, folks. 42 years as a nurse. And so I am really and truly inspired by their courage, by their work ethic, by their dedication, by their passion, folks, in the profession. So happy International Nurses Day to all the nurses out there, guys. Continue doing what you do. What you do matters, and it's valuable, especially in this COVID season. So great to see each and every one of you. For those of you who are now joining us, if you know it's Wednesday, then you know that we're in the diaspora. Now I finish sharing it where I need to share it, and you guys gotta do your bit as well. And we're gonna hold until we touch that magic number, and then we're gonna have our guest with us this evening. As you know, guys, best behavior. So the trenchies and everybody else, y'all dep on your meditation. Dep on your meditation tonight, right? We just want your best behavior. That's what we want, your best behavior. Guys, we're in the diaspora tonight, and we're discussing stuff that is happening in Miami and stuff that is happening in Atlanta, Georgia, stuff that's happening in Antigua. We fast, we Guyanese, irrespective of where we live and the accent that we have, the accent. We're Guyanese, and so we're inquisitive, we're curious by nature. And so we're gonna wait until we get to that magic number. We're almost there, folks. We're almost there. You guys gotta pay the price of admission. Welcome in the ring. Some of y'all want free fight. Y'all just want to come ringside and watch. We want spectators. You gotta pay the price of admission, and that price is to share the live stream. Whether you're joining us on Twitter, you're joining us on Facebook, you're joining us on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, and we are going to be friends for a very, very long time. Folks, we're happy that night after night you come and you share this time with us, because you see some value in the program, the same way we see value in each and every one of you. And as we say here in the ring, we promote the truth and we defend the facts. We don't care which political party you belong to or no political party. We don't care which religion you belong to or no religion. All are welcome in the ring. We contend with ideas. We contend with big thoughts. We contend with issues, not with personalities. And we hope at the end of the day that the strongest ideas emerge and we're able to move our country forward in that manner. Folks, we are where we need to be. And so I want to introduce firstly two of my guests. I want to welcome Mr. Earl B. George. And Earl is joining us from the Diaspora. And Earl is joining us in particular from Atlanta, Georgia, USA. I'm going to ask them to unmute their mics. And I have Mr. Wayne Archer, who is joining us from the USA as well and joining us out of Miami. And folks, Earl B. George has a career in logistics and inventory. And Wayne Archer has a career in the technical equipment as a career rather
air conditioning,
in technical equipment support. Yep, Mr. Wayne Archer and Mr. Earl B. George, both out of the USA, Atlanta, Georgia, and Miami, respectively. Guys, how are you doing?
I'm well.
In any order.
Well. Oh God,
I'm
well, Sheldon. It's good being here tonight. Yeah, and let me correct you. I'm not in Miami. Everyone sees South Florida and call it Miami. I'm just like 4 to 5 minutes out of the heart of Miami. I'm in Coral Springs, just out of Fort Lauderdale.
Coral Springs. Good. We are gonna adjust that.
It's okay. It's okay. Everyone calls South Florida Miami. Like everyone called Guyana GT. It's the same thing. Right.
Talk to me. Right ahead, fellas.
Well, to be factually correct, I can say the same thing too, because I'm not really in Atlanta. I'm in the suburb of Atlanta. I'm from Conyers, Georgia. So everyone likes to say, you're from Atlanta if you're in Georgia, but actually I'm in Conyers, which is one of the suburbs of Atlanta. And it's a real pleasure to be in the ring tonight, and I'm ready to fight.
Good.
I like a good throwdown. Excellent.
we don't fight back home, as you guys would know. We pass-away. Fight is what nice people do. We pass-away, kick off, but whatever it takes to win the battle. Or what's happening where you are there in Coral Springs? What is the guy like? Sorry, Wayne. Rather, sorry.
It's a large Guyanese community out here. We got us in every single factory you could think about, teaching, restaurants, business owners. It's pretty, and a lot of more Guyanese are migrating here, from up north, because the weather is just like home. We call it upscale Guyana.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Is there a Guyanese association there by chance? It's a common question we always ask our Diaspora guests.
To be truthful, not that I know of. Mm-hmm. Not that I know of, but you have different places where you find Guyanese do congregate. Yeah, not that I know of. I was never told of any before.
And Earl, is Atlanta, remind me, is Atlanta the place where they have a huge Guyanese celebration sometime during the year? Lots of people, hundreds if not thousands of Guyanese meeting up there, somewhere there about?
That's correct. That's correct. Memorial, which is coming up later this month, is probably one of the largest Guyanese celebrations in the United States of America, outside of Labor Day in New York City. So we do have a very large representation of our Guyanese populace in this area, and a very large ceremony every year, except for the pandemic, of course, which has put a little damper on things.
Well, we're hoping that we come to an end of this thing very quickly, which is another question I'm going to ask you all about COVID, where you are, and vaccination and so on. But let me take Earl there and see what's happening where he is. Earl, what is the Guyanese community like where you are? What's happening?
Well, Georgia has a very lively Guyanese population, and it's very huge, and it's dispersed not only around the city of Atlanta, but in all the outlying counties as well. Perhaps DeKalb County might have the largest Guyanese population. Then you have Gwinnett, you have Clayton, you have Henry, and we also have a very representative Guyanese association called the Guyanese Association of Georgia. And it's been around for a very long time, probably more than 25 years. And they've been involved in a lot of the Memorial Weekend celebration is actually sponsored by the Guyana Association of Georgia. The thing about it, though, is that the memorial celebration is...
So y'all are paying for things where Wayne is.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's. We also have a Caribbean Association of Georgia here too.
Excellent.
And much to everyone's surprise, I would say, a Guyanese is the head of the Caribbean Association of Georgia. So nice. We represent very well in this part of the country. Guyanese are everywhere in commerce, in entertainment, in every facet of society. You have a very large and representative Guyanese community and personnel.
Excellent. And you have that's a very, very important point to raise. How we go all over the world. You know, people say you throw a handful of corn anywhere in the world, you can hit a Guyanese. And we do extremely well. You know, our children in the education system, our adults in the public and private sector, wherever we go, and that is truly, truly commendable. Earl, what's happening in terms of both Wayne and Earl, in terms of COVID, where you guys are? You guys have had a chance to take the vaccine as yet? Take the jab?
I'm not going to touch on the vaccine for me personally as yet. You know, I've survived COVID. My entire family was hit with it in December the 3rd, excepting my son. So, you know, we had it. As on the wider scale, as you know, when it comes to COVID here, I could tell you when it started, everything was quite okay in the sense that stores were shut, lockdown protocols were being adhered to. But right now, everything is back to normal. You know, you go from north to south, east to west, everything is back to normal. As for vaccine, a lot of people are taking the vaccine serious. You go around, you see long lines with cars, etc. People are there lining up to take the vaccine. Personally, I have not taken it as yet.
And what has been your own hesitation? Because that is something we're grappling with home. Persons are very, very, iffy about whether they should take the vaccine or not. I think I saw in the newspaper just this morning, Region 6 is probably the only region of 10 that has a 35% vaccination rate. Everything else is far below that. So there's lots of vaccine hesitancy home here. What has been your own challenges there?
You know, like I always tell people, it's something new. It's like when you get a new car being manufactured, you go out there, and then you hear this recall, that recall, that recall. But, you know, I love the car. I'm going to buy the car when all the recalls are over, right? And they get it perfect, right? So I think with me, personally, with me buying time, you know, the fixes is going to be there and everything is going to fix, but I know I have to take it. It's something that we cannot run from. Yeah, at some time, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. You have so many new vaccines are coming out. The Germans are coming out with some new vaccines, etc. That the efficacy rate is much higher than the others. So, you know, we got choices that are coming. Yeah.
We can appreciate that. We can appreciate that, Ben. Earl?
Man, I have been fully vaccinated, man. I'm very happy to say that, and I would encourage everyone that can get the vaccine to get the vaccine, because this virus is no joke, and the deaths are real. So you will not know the pain that it causes unless someone very close to you have had this virus, and unfortunately, in many cases, people have died. So don't wait until you get it before you decide you're going to get the vaccine, because that might be too late. So as long as it's available, try and get it. I got both my shots, and I'm still alive, and I intend to be for a very long time. I did not get the COVID. Unfortunately, my mom, she got it, but we Guyanese are really strong.
Yeah.
So she did not know she had the COVID until she tried to go back to work when she was feeling better. So she survived it and came out for the better. And of course, she's now vaccinated, fully vaccinated. So don't take a chance. I mean, my mom was lucky, and I'm very glad that she's here with me and all of us today. But there are a lot of people that weren't that lucky. So get yourself vaccinated. Don't listen to the naysayers. Get vaccinated. It's very important. You want to live?
Yeah.
Get vaccinated.
Yeah, I've had my first shot. We have several available home here. I had the Sputnik, the Russian vaccine, but as I said, there are lots of skeptics, people at the far end of the spectrum, and there are persons like Wayne who are waiting to see if there are any adverse effects before they take it. And so we're talking to all of those people. And just last night we had, for instance, Mr. Kemraj Ramjitan on with us, and he was proposing, government offering, COVID, what you call it, cash grants for COVID, in return for persons taking the vaccination. Some persons think that is perhaps making vaccinations mandatory. But quite interestingly, just today I saw Joe Biden an Instagram video where he was saying, your president, that he was happy to see Uber and another taxi service offering free taxi rides for persons who want to take the vaccine, perhaps to the vaccine site, because again, people have varying challenges, and one of the challenges they recognize is a transportation challenge. And so he was happy to see those taxi services stepping up, as he said, and helping people in this way. So it's not necessarily making it mandatory, but it's just an incentive. At least that is how it came across to me. What do you guys think?
Well, I think
when the vaccines for
you before me. Go ahead, Wayne.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, I mean,
when the vaccine when they started first with the vaccine here. Oh, all right. When they first started with the vaccine here, certain South American countries were actually giving, this was only those who could have afforded it, giving their citizens, you could fly up here, something like a vaccine tourism, you could call it. Fly up here, go to the mall shop, but get your vaccine as you're over there, giving you a chance, like preference to fly over, to get it. Yeah, and I've heard today around here, a lot of people are offering rides, volunteer to offer rides to people who don't have a ride to go to vaccine sites.
Thanks, Rich Wayne. Over to you, Earl. What are your thoughts there?
I saw a public service ad being done by Spike Lee, where he was encouraging people in the community to donate rides so that people can go get vaccines, and it's very important. I mean, it might look trivial to you, but not everyone has a car, and not everyone can get to public transportation, especially in the large cities, right? Like New York City and those places, in Brooklyn and in the Bronx or wherever it might be, even in Atlanta here. So it makes sense for you to offer those incentives that they're not really in terms of it's not enriching anybody, but what it's doing, it's facilitating the people getting from their homes to get vaccinated. A lot of people need that incentive, so it's a very good public service thing, I think, that's going on, and people should take advantage of it.
Great. Thanks very much, Earl. So as I'm minding your business, we know that you all have been minding our business back home here as well, guys. And one of the issues that we have that is very, very current, very topical, and very, very serious and grave is the issue of the mangroves and the illegal removal of these mangroves, because all of the legislations that we have in place environmentally tells us that mangroves are protected because of the value of the mangrove, not only to the ecosystem, but to human lives. And we know that you guys have been following this. And I just want to put up one of the displays that we have that is going to show us a little more about that. Right, this is the affected area here, an area in region 3, Malga 2 Versailles, and that is what it looked like before. And I want to give you a sense of what it looks like now. Just give me a second. And I know that you guys, are very, very technical, and you're going to have some thoughts as to what is happening, and perhaps how do we get better at governance, whether it's environmental governance, whether it's national governance. But this is what the decimated area looks like now, right? And as you can see, beyond that area, you have lots of houses. This is a very central area in region 3. So I want to give you again what the area looked like before, and that gives you a good sense of the area, all of the houses at the back there, right? And we have where we are currently. This is the decimated area. And so that being said, I think I'm going to start with Earl as a logistics and somebody who is in inventory. One can just imagine the kinds of hardship that this would cause, for instance, those persons who are in business and commerce, and even to the ordinary household in that area. So maybe you want to talk to us a little bit about your own understanding of the importance of mangroves to communities, to a nation like ours below sea level, and then to the absence of those mangroves and other structures to prevent flooding, for instance. What could be the some of the effects there?
Well, they say a picture, it tells 1,000 words. To be honest with you, I mean, when you look at that photograph, that aerial photograph, you can see the river. Then you see the green, where the mangrove is. You see it. The mangrove serves as a protection between the waterway and inland. It's a part of nature. It's more or less a filter. So what it does is protect the physical land from becoming a part of the waterway. Any kind of degradation of the mangrove, removing that mangrove, is going to result in flooding in areas beyond where the mangrove is. So if you're gonna put a business in that area and you're going to remove the mangrove, what you're doing is you're changing the ecosystem. And there is something you have to understand about water. Water will always find a place to go. So if you're going to tell me you're going to put a business there and you're going to have barriers there, the water is going to find the weakest spot to make a new way. So it will move either north or south. Okay, now a little piece of mangrove will not save the entire shoreline. There is a purpose and a reason for the mangrove. It stabilizes the soil and it protects. It acts also as a repository for the sediments that are deposited when the water goes in and the water comes out. So it filters and it develops the land in the long term. Let me tell you something. In Louisiana, in the United States of America, one of the largest, it's very famous for its oil deposits just like Guyana is about to find out. Large oil refineries and everything. The shoreline, they have about 640,000 acres. And I'm talking about ConocoPhillips, very popular and a very large petroleum company. They have 640,000 acres of shoreline that is what we call wetlands. And they are currently planting mangrove trees in that area so that they can reclaim and preserve the shoreline in Louisiana. Now, in Guyana, we cannot and must not allow ourselves to get to that point. So instead of destroying something that we're going to have to come back years later to fix, let us not fall into that trap, because it's going to cost us a lot more in the long term. So do the right thing right now and protect the ecology of the shoreline by preserving the mangroves. Let the companies or the businesses be built in the areas where the other factors are more important. Factors like your labor, building adequate roads in terms of long-term strategic planning, developing the country. Everything cannot be around the central point of the mouth of the Essequibo River, the Demerara River, the Berbice River. Let us go inland, build the countries closer to where you would like to see the populations disperse. That's how an economy grows. That's how population is dispersed. So learn the lesson from the mangrove. Let it be a lesson to all of us. Save our mangroves. Save the people that are dependent on the lands just beyond the mangrove. People's lives are at stake. People's livelihoods are at stake. So that is my contribution as far as that is concerned. You know, we cannot allow the mangroves to be destroyed. We have to save them because they serve a natural purpose.
Excellent.
And if we destroy them,
I want to talk a little bit more about that natural purpose in just a little bit. But let me pull in Wayne here, because Wayne is somebody, you know, in technical equipment support. I didn't hear of, for instance, consultations being had on this issue with residents there before, you know, these mangroves were removed illegally. You know, should the, for instance, the telecommunications company like Digicel and GT&T, you know, have a say? Should they have been part of consultations? Because we know any flooding in this area not only affects citizens, but could affect their ability to communicate, you know, based on how the infrastructure of the telecommunications in this country is laid out physically. You know, so should big companies, other companies, have had a say in terms of being consulted with what is happening here?
Sharad, before I get to that,
Go
I made
ahead.
Bahamas my. Before we get to that, I made Bahamas my home for 13 years. Um, when I left Guyana, there is where I see things of standard and codes being adhered to. If you could remember Hurricane Dorian and what happened to Abaco,
Mhm.
right? And one of the first places that was affected in Abaco was a place they call the Mud. And the Mud is known for, it's a shoreline. The mud was actually mangroves. As Earl said, you know, when you remove that, what happens? And the first place to be affected by Dorian was the Mud, where thousands upon, you know, the numbers are up in the thousands that died due to that, right? In Freeport, where I lived, you dare not touch any mangrove or anywhere there is mangrove. As for businesses, if ever you intend to do anything around there, everyone, the citizens, all the authorities are informed, and they'll say you have consultation, which is very, very important. And they take the ecosystem very serious because they know what happens whenever you disrupt any form of ecosystem. And everyone has an input into development there. And I could tell you, Freeport is a higher standard than the other islands there.
Well, that is the kind
Coming,
of environmental consciousness that we need here, certainly.
right, right. It's very important. There is a oil company there, and in fact, it's the third largest oil storage facility in the world. They claim at one time. I know they're over. By now, they should have anything about 600 tanks or something like that. And I'm telling you, millions of barrels of oil they store there. There again, when they were about to expand that facility, it's known as the Bahamas Oil Refinery Company. When they were about to expand that facility, they called in the communities around and had consultation with them, because there were some adverse effect prior when they refined oil there in Freeport. They had a large oil refinery facility there. Now they're just storing, and I could see the effects of that. You had to touch mangroves, and it's not something nice. In the long run, people are going to suffer. Your seafood industry is going to suffer. Yeah, because you get rid of mangroves, you get rid of some rare species of aquaculture too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah. When you're talking about how not only people but the ecosystem suffers, which is a point that Earl was raising earlier, and I want to point out what environmentalist Annette Arjun would have said on this matter. Mrs. Annette Arjun Martins, she said to Starbuck News quite recently, even if a concretized structure is built to protect the residents from the rising sea levels, we have to understand that that does not have the same value and benefits mangroves have. Mangroves are regarded as a carbon sink and absorb 5 times the amount of carbon as green heart and purple heart forests. In addition to that, they foster a rich ecosystem that serve as a nursery for fishes and a habitat for birds.
Yes, they do.
So right where you guys are, yeah.
Actually, in Louisiana, you can be paid and receive credits by virtue of replanting mangroves.
Which is a feature we saw in Costa Rica, for instance. And I know, we volunteer free here. I was part of a volunteer exercise on the East Coast. I think it was at Monrepo, planting mangroves for free. We do it as part of public service. But that is a fantastic idea when you think of having buy-in from communities in terms of conservation and in terms of even employment, which is something that this government should be thinking about.
Yeah, definitely.
I've seen in other countries where as they use things like the tires.
When I wanted Art to finish the point. Sorry, I jumped in there with
about that.
Louisiana. Sorry about that, Earl. Right
Yeah,
ahead.
I remember that Guyana received a lot of money in terms of conservation of our forestry. It's the same thing that is happening as far as mangroves are concerned. You can get carbon credits by preserving and by planting mangroves, because like Wayne said, it's very important in terms of filtering carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. So it's very good for the entire ecological system. So it's something that we need to be focused on in Guyana, and this issue of destroying mangrove is very I don't know why that would be allowed, but I think it's almost criminal, because the damages that will result with the degradation of the shoreline by removing the mangrove is going to cause a lot of problems down the road to the people that live in the communities. And of course, the carbon footprint is very important. Without that being, re-emphasized every minute, it's very, very important. It's very, very good for the environment. So
I think we lost early for a second.
Yes.
Right ahead,
Um,
Win.
yes, Sharon. There's an old saying: when you trouble the ecosystem, this earth has a natural way of fixing itself, and sometimes the way it fixes itself, it take lives. It
Yeah.
take lives.
Perhaps that is
Yes.
COVID. That could be
Um,
COVID-19 in a nutshell you're describing.
you never know.
Because
You
we've done
never
so much
know.
harm to the environment already, and to see this man-made crisis, as you say, Earl, you're absolutely right. The environment could say, "Time up! I'm reclaiming." I think it's either you are Earl said it earlier on. A river always takes its natural course.
Yes, yes. Earl said that. Earl said that. What will find space? What will find space? And just imagine you removing that. What you're doing, I'm not a geologist, but geologists will tell you whenever you got water in a space, whatever rocks on the there, you will have movement. And there's so much other damage that could come. Yeah, there's so much other damage.
Yeah, and I want to paint for persons who are now joining us that we're in the diaspora. It is Wednesday. We ask you guys, as per normal, to share the live stream. I have with me this evening Mr. Earl B. George. He has a career in logistics and inventory out of the USA. He is in Atlanta, Georgia, and more specifically, Coral Springs. And
In
I have
Coral
also
Springs.
I have also with me Mr. Wayne Archer, who has a career in technical equipment support, and he is in the USA as well, not in Miami, but in where? Wayne, tell us again.
Coral Springs.
Oh, you're in Coral Springs. Sorry,
Yes,
I'm
I'm
mixing
in
you guys
Coral
up,
Springs. Yeah, yeah.
mixing up the locations. That being said,
Yeah,
but this company here that has removed this
East Coral
mangrove,
Springs. Yeah, I'm
as we are
Conyers. I'm
discussing,
Conyers.
Conyers. The company name is TriStar Incorporated. And we know from the news that they're building a storage facility, a wharf, and the jetty. We also know that they have cleared far more mangroves that was initially agreed by the authorities. I don't know why you'd want to clear mangroves in the first instance, nonetheless. And it has also been reported that the company has not built any city fences in their place, which would protect the nearby communities from flooding, as they have also undertaken to do before being granted permission to proceed. So they were supposed to build these city fences before. But again, poor monitoring by the authorities, poor compliance, and here we are with this decimation of the mangroves. Guys,
Sharad, Sharad, you could answer to this. Is there an active EPA ministry or association over there, or
well,
anyone,
we had a
police?
very, very competent head of the EPA, who specialized in oil and gas and environmental matters and so forth. Well, the new administration didn't like him too much, sent him packing, and I think they're currently searching for somebody to fill that slot. So I think it is not very effective currently. It is
What?
not.
Well, again, I'm going to throw this other question out to you. What are they not adhering to international industry standards as per projects
Clearly
and the
not.
way you go
Clearly
out?
not,
You
because
go around
here,
doing projects, or you just wake up tomorrow morning and say, okay, I want to build XYZ and I'm going to do this. Because we don't even have to go to the mangroves. Let's take, for example, Georgetown, right? And you could know that every single British city was built, not for the city planning was not with any futuristic idea, right? Good. But you have people are putting down homes and houses, etc., home there, and disrupting the natural irrigation system. That's one. And then disrupting the man-made irrigation system, which cannot take off more than what it was designed for, right? And now you're going to go damage another system now, which is the ecosystem in a new area. There's no policing done on these things.
but where I want to be fair, let us take a similar project, for instance, the gas to shore project that is earmarked for Wales. We have a government official that we have in, Mr. Bar Jagdio, Vice President, who said it's a no-brainer. No studies to date from the administration, but he said it's a no-brainer that it's going to be profitable, it's going to be good for the environment, it's going to be good for the residents there, and all of that. Not one study by the current administration has been brought to the public to bear. So, I think that answers your question, whether they're concerned about, all of these international standards that you have to meet, and all of the studies and the environmental impact assessments and
Assessments, right?
studies, right? But we don't see them. I'd love to see what the environmental impact assessment study set for this shore-based project that is being put down here that caused this disruption with the mangroves. The public would love to see that, right? As a matter of fact, look at how things are. You asking the question about the effectiveness of the EPA. The guy who brought this complaint or this problem to the public fore is a guy by the name of Sean Johnson, and he should get a national award, right? And according to Starbuck News, Sean Johnson recounted the details of the runaround he had to receive from various agencies in relation to the issue, including the EPA. According to Mr. Johnson, the EPA informed me that I would need to make a complaint with their complaints division. When I tried to make the complaint, I was told to discuss my issue with the infrastructural department. To date, I am unable to get any concrete information on the project from the EPA, nor a copy of the permit issued by the EPA. Up until the end of last week, Starbuck News too was unable to obtain a response from the EPA. I don't know if that answers your question, because I don't want the folks to say I am biased, but this is the newspapers talking for you, and Mr. Johnson in his own words.
I can remember a couple of years back we got some money from Norway, right? Because of our huge
that's the LCDS project. Yeah.
Yes, right. Won't this affect us? Are people complaining about this, or complaining to international bodies about these things? Because I know people
honestly,
are looking.
Which is a course that we are going to take. Yeah.
It's out there, and people are looking. This thing of EPA taking their stance. I'll give you an example. I'm into heavy air conditioning, industrial and commercial air conditioning. And on the tanks, people could look on those tanks and see if ever you're being caught venting refrigerant into the atmosphere, it's a $25,000 fine off the bat, with a prison sentence also. And I could snitch on someone, and EPA will step in without any hesitation. And
again, that is because I'm hazarding, Wayne, because there's a very vigilant
right.
monitoring system where you are, and people are interested in protecting the environment.
Consciousness with citizens too. Citizens got to be educated on this issue, which is a good thing. It's time it start.
Agreed. Earl, what are your thoughts there? While Earl comes in, go ahead, Earl. I know we're getting some delay,
yes.
But folks, as yeah, go ahead.
Well, the environment and welfare of the environment and the welfare of the people, it must be given preeminence, as compared to short-term gain. Yes, it must be given preeminence as compared to short-term gains in businesses. I mean, the country has to have a long-term plan in terms of what we call decentralization of the population. You know, we need to spread out away from the coastline, and with the advent of the oil industry and all of these other subsidiary companies and industries that will spring up, it's a good opportunity for the country to spread the development away from the shoreline and avoid the concentration of the population on the coastline. Because what we are doing there is that we are having all our eggs in one basket. Everything is on the shoreline. God forbid that something happens. Georgetown, the East Coast, the West Coast of Demerara, and all those places are, you know, they will be very vulnerable. Again, removing the mangrove or the mangroves along the shoreline only adds to that problem. So this is a good time for us to decentralize in terms of our developmental planning and move things inland, you know, away from the shoreline, whether it's on the West Coast, whether it's on the East Coast, whether it's Berbice, or whether it's in the hinterland, Linden, or wherever. But I mean, when you talk about logistics is about the most efficient way of getting goods and services from point A to point B. It does not necessarily have to be the shortest way. So to think that you're going to build all these warehouses where they're going to cause all of these environmental problems, you know, it might not be the best in the short term, because, you know, you're really setting yourself up for failure in terms of the problems that will result from destroying the mangroves. Efficiency means doing something sensibly and at a lower cost. So short-term gains is not necessarily the best thing. So
exactly,
this needs to be seriously thought out, and this is not a political issue. This is an issue for all Guyanese people, and it's a matter of survival and a matter of the proper development of our resources, and our most important resource is our people. So that's my contribution as far as that is concerned.
I love that point you raised there, Earl, because this is not just about development and preventing development.
I didn't get that.
No, I'm saying it's not just about development. The point I'm making, it's not just about development, but it's also about doing things in the right way. For instance, you have.
Did you get a win? There's some kind of a delay.
The Forestry Act of 2010 says that it's illegal to destroy mangroves. And I don't know whether you can have a government, any government, that waives the legality of an action for a company. Because one of the things the government representative Bishop One Edgel said is that you cannot stymie development, right, at the expense of keeping the mangroves intact. So I don't understand if a government anywhere in the world can just waive the legality or the illegality of an act to satisfy business interests. You guys are out there in the larger world, in a first world country. I don't know if it happens there in the US.
No, it don't. Not that I've seen. No, it don't. Earl touched on something about decentralizing and moving, away from the populated areas, etc. I've seen lately. I'll use Ghana for example, and Nigeria. What they have done, a lot of developers have reclaimed lands. I've seen lands here reclaimed also, right? And there is where, instead of going and disrupting any other facility, any other area, let's say for the mangroves, etc., disrupting the ecosystem, what they do, they reclaim land. And at the same time, whilst reclaiming the land, you're building new waterways, right? And also you're building reservoirs. You build roads here, you have to build reservoirs because you're disrupting the natural irrigation system, right? And a lot of places in Africa, that is what they're doing. They're moving away from this cluster, right? And developing new areas. What it brings is new jobs. The economy in those areas is, and standard of living and everything is going to improve for people. And this is what we need. We don't have the large numbers like those places, and it's easier for us to do it.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Guys, you guys are in the US, and one of the largest audience, the second highest audience for our program is folks in the diaspora in the USA. And so what keeps you guys up? We're talking about the destruction of the mangroves. We talked a little bit about COVID. When you guys think about back home, what concerns you? You've had 5 years of the AFC government. You have 9 months now of the PPP. What concerns you when you think about back home, when you look at the news, when you engage with members of the diaspora where you are? What is concerning to you guys?
Earl, you could go. I'm about to jump on the highway. So, yeah, remember I told you I'm heading to the airport. I'm about to jump on the highway, so I want to keep eyes on the road. And driving out here in Miami is not that simple. I'm heading into Miami as we speak. Good.
Understood. So give us your closing thoughts, Wayne, just before you go.
Yes, education. The little kids that are coming up today, right? Education and opportunities for them. That's one of the most important things that we see, and a lot of us meet and we discuss this thing. We've got a new industry there, oil and gas industry.
Well, for me, I think for me personally, it's.
I think you got a delay.
Right ahead, Wayne.
Yes. It's a huge industry, something new, pretty new for us. And the people who are going to be managing this industry is the younger people in years to come, right? And these are the people that a lot of emphasis should be placed on. Because this is their future. This industry and the spring off from oil and gas. And that's one of my greatest concerns.
Awesome. When you said you're heading to the airport, are you coming home?
Yes. No, I'm not coming home. I'm going to pick up someone that just got in from home.
Oh, great. Well,
yes.
we hope that you get some goodies there, maybe some little saltfish, little something.
Again, let me say this again. As we call it, Upper Guyana, we get everything here. We got onto the iguanas and everything we got right here.
So y'all don't miss anything.
No. Yes.
All right.
So that's me in closing. Yeah, I'm about to jump on the highway now.
All right, Wayne. Thanks for joining us, Wayne, and we'll talk soon. Stay safe out there.
Yes. Thanks.
All right, Wayne. Earl, right ahead as we watch the program time. Earl has a delay, so I'm holding for him, guys.
All right, Wayne. Yeah. What concerns me tremendously is that the inequality of wealth in Guyana, and with the advent of all this new resource and revenue coming into the country, it seems like the majority of the population is being left behind. And that to me is the most disconcerting thing.
Exactly, exactly. And what we want to see is an even distribution of wealth. But folks home here in Guyana, we understand we have not had that recently. Let us be fair. Let us be
You're
fair.
not
I know the
hearing me?
trend. I am hearing you better now. I know we have a slight delay. So just come in whenever you are ready. I know we've been seeing
Are you hearing
that
me?
uneven distribution of wealth back home here.
I don't know why
Or
I'm
just
having
come
a
in as
delay.
soon as you're ready. Or just come in as soon as you're ready, and I'm gonna be quiet. Whenever you're ready, Earl. All right, that's part of the challenge of the new technology.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that it would behoove the government to to do something for the people. I mean, by decentralizing the concentration. Yes, by decentralizing the new industries, the subsidiary industries throughout the country, you will be providing employment for a larger swath of people, a large, I mean, people from the hinterland, people from the towns that are not centered around the coast. So, that's how the government needs to think in terms of bringing everybody in to the ring, so to speak. Let everybody be involved, get so that they all can benefit from the new Guyana. We hear talk about the Guyana be representative of all the people from the top right down to the bottom, or rather, I should say from the bottom right up to the top, so that everyone can benefit. Everyone will not be working with the oil industry or working with a subsidiary industry, but let some parts of the revenue, some aspects of the economic growth be catered towards developers or whatever it is, agriculture, and make no bones about this. Listen, Guyana long term success will not be based on the oil, but it will be based on Guyana realizing its true role in the Caribbean as really the breadbasket of the Caribbean. So we have the resources, we have what it takes to make Guyana the agricultural center of the entire Caribbean and a great supplier to the world. And we cannot let that go. We've got to develop it, and we have got to develop the people around that industry wherever in Guyana they are. So that kind of decentralization and forward thinking and diversification is what is needed. That's what's going to bring the people up from the bottom, So we have to cater for that. Not everyone,
Yeah.
everyone can be working on a rig and all that.
Yeah. I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%, Earl, on that notion that we can be the bread basket, the food basket, the money basket of the Caribbean. But I believe as well that who leads matter. Who leads matter. And we see that the guys that we have now aren't leading. We are reversing into the future. Lloyd, unfortunately, we have to leave. Or rather, we have to leave our discussion there this evening. But I want to thank you for stepping in the ring tonight, and I hope I see you again. I hope you accept my invitation again to step in the ring and help us through some of these very, very technical but very, very serious and national issues.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being in the ring with you, and I kind of like I like being in the ring. So I hope I didn't get too many punches, and I was able to slip a couple of them.
No.
Thank you very much for having me.
And you landed a couple punches as well. Thanks very much, Earl. Have a great evening, sir.
All right, thank you.
And guys, we want to thank you guys for joining us this evening. If it's Wednesdays, we're in the diaspora, we're talking to folks, we're talking with Guyanese, we're talking with all kinds of people, national issues, regional issues, international issues as well. Tomorrow night, everybody get a chance to have their say. You get a chance to have your say. It's Talk Back Thursday. You guys are going to have your chance to have a say in the ring, because you know during the program, you just text yes to the number and we send you the link to come in and to have your say. And so we're looking forward to having you guys tomorrow evening in the ring. Guys, we want to encourage you, as we do every night on COVID-19, to social distance, wear your mask, sanitize, the basic three. The basic three. We got to stop this spread of COVID-19. We got to curb this spread. We got to pull it back, folks. And it's up to each and every one of us to do our bit. Whether you agree with $100,000 to take a vaccine or no money to take a vaccine, or you don't want the vaccine, or what, if you don't want the vaccine, then the onus is upon you, the responsibility, the duty is upon you to observe the COVID protocols even more than the average person to keep each other safe. Guys, we love having you in the ring. We thank you for your time this evening. A very good evening and stay safe.